All right, today we're going to learn how to quickly make an off-centered suit card. I just really like how it's pushed to the side a little bit, just create some interest, and then you can open it and write on the inside. Let's talk about what you'll need really quick. You'll need a white piece of cardstock cut in half at 5 1/2, 4 1/4, fold it in half. So that's your card base. You will trim that down. You also need a piece of 3 1/2 by 4 for the shirt. I also used cardstock. Then you'll need whatever you want to do for your suit. I did navy blue, Night of Navy. You'll just need exactly 1/4 of a full piece of paper, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And you will cut that at 3. Here, I'm going to show you really quick. So here's my 5 1/2 by 4 1/4, and then you'll just cut it at 3. So you'll have this little piece and this, and you'll use both of these to make your suit. And the last piece you'll need is a piece of scrap paper, some pattern paper, about 1 inch by 2 1/2. I use this. You can use anything that matches. You could do red, and I just grabbed about 1 inch by 2 1/2. I'm going to show you how to make this little thing. If you'd like to cut a piece of scratch paper at 3 1/2 by 1/4 to practice on, you can. You could actually fold your practice piece exactly in half so you can make it perfect. But I'm just going to show you on this little piece of scratch paper. So I folded it down, I don't know, about 1/4 inch or so, and then flip it over. And then if you can eyeball right where you think the middle is, then you're going to come in and just pull these down like this, right? And then make a crease with your fingernail or a bone folder, and then you've got it. All right, next we're going to make the suit flaps. Just so you know, I made patterns of all of these, and after doing it so many times, I realized it's easier not to have a pattern. So I'm using the scoring tool, Score It. You can use any scoring tool, but I like this one because it makes it easy to go on an angle. So for the small piece, I'm going to match it right at the top, and then at the bottom, I'm going to just try to eyeball about 1 inch, okay? And I'll show you why eyeballing it is fine. So then we make our score, fold it, this side is good. And when it glues down, that little piece gets cut off, and you can use that for the pocket. Okay, so I kind of keep this one handy when I do this one. So this one, I'm going to come down about 1 inch. It doesn't have to be perfect, and I'll show you why. And then at the top, I want it to be about 1 inch from the side. And it doesn't have to be exact on that front either. And then we're actually done. But let me show you really quick why that isn't going to matter. Because we're going to put this one right along the edge. We will actually trim off the bottom. So if you want to adjust, and you can actually trim off that too. So you want these to come match up, and we will trim off this side if there's anything left over. So that's a pretty good fit right there. And then I will just grab my shirt, and let's see how this fits in here. The shirt's going to be a little bit over the top, and that looks pretty good. And then I'll put my tie in, and it'll cover that little spot, and I'll trim this off. All right, let me show you really quick how I made the tie. I actually made a template first. So I know I want my tie to have a triangle at the top, come out, and then go in and come down. So it's really hard to freehand it and make those exactly perfect. So I do freehand it, fold it in half, and then I just cut one side, and that makes a beautiful pattern for me to use. And I just use this I don't even trace it. I put it on the paper and I cut along. So there's my pattern, and I get my paper and I'll just cut it along. This one's a little bit shorter. Doesn't even matter. Just make it about 3 inches. You can make it tighter, or you can make it fatter, however you want. Then cut out your pattern tie. I do a little bit of gluing here, and I get these flaps glued down, and I also glue down these flaps. Not real tight, and I'm just going to show you real quick how I do that. Anytime I glue anything, I use the Scotch Stick Tacky Glue, but if you use too much of it, it really will start to bog down your paper. Since this is really strong cardstock, I'm gluing cardstock on cardstock, I just start with snail adhesive, and then I just put a little bit of this in, and I just crease it nice, and that fold will keep it down. Same with any of these pieces. I just do a little bit of snail, and then a little bit of this, and that'll keep it down and keep it tight. Okay, and those, you don't have to wait. They're already ready to go. Almost done. This is how I piece it together. I just, before I glue it, I get a good eyeball. You can trim anything off that's not in the right place. So the first thing I'm going to do is adhere the tie. That's not going to be a big deal. Then this usually goes pretty close to the top, a little, you know, just this little edge part goes over. Then I'm going to push it a little to the side to get that kind of fun look. Then this will go almost to that edge. It might be all the way to the edge. It might be here. It just depends on where these match up. So that's what we're doing. We're matching these up and making this look nice. So I feel like I want to move this shirt up a little bit and over so the tie fits in there pretty nice. You could also add little buttons down here. So then when I see how it looks, I just take my scissors and I trim this piece off, and I glue this one down first. Then I glue this one down, matching that side. Then I put this one. So first this one, after I trim this. So I'm going to trim this so I know exactly where this piece should fit. And then I can go ahead and adhere that on, and this, and the other two. All right, glue down the tie in this shirt, and I got this one piece down. And now this one, I can make some choices. I could have it overlap, then it doesn't make that tie look centered. I can have it come right here, right here. I'm just gonna have it go a tiny bit over the tie and go ahead and glue it on. All of these I do exactly the same way. I'm not too perfectionistic about it because it doesn't actually, I don't know how many times a man looks perfectly centered in his suit. Okay, and then I'm just gonna have these overlap a tiny bit over here. I like the way that looks. And then I'll trim this, and this little piece off the side. Then I'm actually gonna measure, so this is 5.5, and I'm gonna cut right there. Just gonna show you really quick. I use my strongest trimmer because I'm going to cut through so much cardstock down here. I just make sure the top of this is at 5.5, and I just cut that down, and then it fits perfectly in the card. Now the little piece I cut off right there, it's right here, perfect to make a little triangle. The great thing about this card is it's pretty freehand and pretty creative, and each of them looks different. So I just take a little triangle off of that. Here's the scrap from that, and I go, I think I'll just take this little piece. Some of them you could make little triangles, or you could make little blobs. I mean, they do it differently, and then I'm just gonna adhere that right there as the pocket. Trim that off. All right, it looks like we're done. We can add a little greeting over here right inside the card. I like to do a final look over. I might want to trim that a little bit. Get this little piece off the top so it's straight. And there you go.